WDRS Talk is made possible by the Anchor app. If you've never heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's absolutely free and allows you to make your own podcast on your phone or on your computer. Anchor will also distribute your podcast on platforms like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can make money from your podcast as well without a minimum membership. It's all you need to make a podcast in one place. So, go and download your Anchor app for free, or you can go to anchor.fm to get started today.
You're listening to the Wolf's Den Radio Show. Talk.
Hey, sisters and brothers, this is another episode of WDRS Talk, the Wolf's Den Radio Show Talk, and this is your host, your brother from another mother, spreading cosmic love wherever I can, Wolf Hemora, in your ears, in your minds, and in your soul. How's everybody doing out there? Welcome to another episode. This is episode 32. We are getting along with the episodes, and I hope you're enjoying the interviews so far, and I'm enjoying giving them to you. So before anything else, this is going to be a really great interview coming up, and I'll tell you all about it. But before we do that, let's get some business out of the way. And I would like to invite you, please, if you are listening to this on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the episode. And if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give the show a follow. And all those things help out in the algorithms of the internet. They will help the show. And you can also show your support by donating some funds for the show. And you can do that on the anchor.fm website or the Anchor app. And when you go to the WDRS Talk page, you will see a support button or a donate button. You can press that, and any amount that you can spare for the show is welcome and is much appreciated. You can also be a monthly donor. And I got a couple people giving monthly donations, and I truly, truly appreciate that. I love you guys. And so, yeah, if you can support the show that way, everything is welcome. All right. And then what else? Please check out my new band project. It's called The Melodies. D's spelled Dees. And you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook. On Instagram, it's at Melodies Official. And on Facebook, it's at The Melodies. And we got a new single out. It's called Laman. You can check it out on all the streaming platforms. And I'm not sure. We gave the song to a couple of stations in Manila. I hope they play them. And if not, you can go to Jam 88.3. You can request the song and demand that they play it. It's called Laman, and it also has a music video on YouTube. And do check out that YouTube channel as well of The Melodies. And we are gearing up for some really good projects next year. You know, it's the holiday season, and everyone's just too busy to be doing band stuff. You know, it's always in Christmas, band stuff always takes a break because everyone else is doing their shopping and whatnot and celebrating and eating and drinking. So with regards to that, it is going to be a great holiday season. It is here in America. It is the first day of Hanukkah, which is a Jewish holiday. And of course, the Christian Christmas is always on after Thanksgiving. It's on right now. And we got some Kwanzaa happening in the last week of December, and that is an African-American holiday as well. I don't know much about Kwanzaa. I should really read up on that holiday and see what that's about. But anyway, please have a safe holiday. There's still a pandemic. There is an actual new variant that just popped up in South Africa. So, man, and Europe... and Eastern Europe and some parts of Western Europe like Germany and France, they are contemplating on doing another lockdown because the cases are going up again. And we got to put a stop to this, ladies and gentlemen, and sisters and brothers. And the best way to do it is really, you got to get inoculated. That's the only way. This is the only way. And to those people who are still on the fence, I don't want to say that you're being selfish, but you kind of are. So, because this is a collective thing and it's not a political issue, this is a health issue. And it's only people in politics who are making it political, which really, it's all bullshit. That's the bullshit part of it. But it is a health issue, and the best way that we can help this to beat this pandemic is to get vaccinated. And I'm gonna get my booster actually tomorrow, and I hope you guys get your boosters as well if you've had your initial vaccines already. But if you haven't had your initial vaccine yet, please, whoever you are out there, please get yourself inoculated. Be safe. Make yourself safe. Others around you safe. Let's keep everybody safe. Let's look out for one another. That's the one thing that's disappearing in this day and age, is that we're not looking out for each other. We're not looking out for the greater good of everybody. It seems that everyone is doing it just for themselves, and that's not the way that human beings are supposed to be. You got to get out. You got to get out of your room, get out of your computer, and live outside. Live outside the bubble. Live in the world and see other people, and don't lose your empathy for other people, because that's the only way the human race is going to move forward, is if we, all of us, every single one of us helps each other out and looks out for each other. So please, get inoculated. Let's beat this motherfucker and get back to normal. I mean, really get back to normal. And I've heard that the Philippines is opening up again, and that's really great news. One thing I would like you to do is please watch a movie in a movie theater. There's the new James Bond film that's out. It's really great. It's the best James Bond movie I've ever seen. And there's a lot of movies out there that are just awesome, and you gotta watch it in the movie theater. There is nothing like the movie theater. I don't care how rich you are. Well, yeah, if you're rich enough to have a movie theater in your house, then great. But the movie theater for me is the best sound system that you can watch a movie in. And it's great, man. Some nice warm popcorn and a cold ice Coca-Cola or a Sprite. Oh, god damn. Nothing gets any better than that. So go out into the world. See people, see your friends, hug. I don't know, if you don't want to social distance, at least say to each other, hey, I'm inoculated, let's hug. And just go out to the world and live again. And with that said, on to episode 32. And this is going to be the second installment of the commemoration of the 25th anniversary of the release of Wolfgang's second album called Semenelin. And my guest today is going to be the not the musical director, but the managing director of Sony Music Philippines at that time in the 90s, Mr. Wally Chamsay. And he is the catalyst of all of these things that Wolfgang had accomplished. And he was really the guy who believed in Wolfgang, and not just Wolfgang, but because Sony Music at the time signed Wolfgang, Razorback, Barbie's Cradle, South Border, Andrew E. Who else? Greyhoundz. And we all know all those names are successful artists. And it's all because of Sony Music Philippines, the hard work that staff gave to all of us, and the genius and the understanding of Wally Chamsay, the big head boss, understood Wolfgang's music so much, and he understood the true meaning of the band, that he gave us total artistic control of our music. And albums like from Semenelin to Worm to Serve in Silence to Black Mantra, I mean, if you listen to all those albums, that is Wolfgang pushing the boundaries of what they're capable of as artists and musicians. And Wally Chamsay was just 110% support and said, "You guys do you, and we'll figure out how to market you." And that's what they did. They figured something out that is, I think, the best marketing strategy that was ever employed in the Philippines. I get in the mainly in the music business, but I mean, a band like Wolfgang, a band with Wolfgang's music, it's not commercial music, so it's not easy to market. But I don't know. I don't know, man. Wally had the pulse. He had the pulse of the people, and he knew what to do, and it was great. One thing to note: if you were from that era, you probably got the single, the Weightless single with the B-side "Roadworthy Man," and a few months later, the actual album came out, and then all you had to do was go to the record store and submit the stub that was on the cassette and CD of the single, and you got your album. You got the full album, and man, it generated so much hype, so much excitement. And the fans, I can't thank the fans enough for their excitement and for their enthusiasm for that marketing ploy, which was amazing. And after that, every other company around in that music business that had their roster of bands and musicians, they had to step up their game because Sony Music put up that bar, and the bar was very high, and everyone else did it. So, rising tides, it lifts all ships, and everyone's ship was lifted during those times. So, yeah, and like I said, it's just Wally Chamsay's idea, man, and he is the catalyst of all of this, not just for Wolfgang, but for all those other artists that I mentioned. So, big respect to Wally Chamsay, and if you're listening right now, and you're going to listen to the interview, yeah, he deserves all the respect that we can give. There is going to be a little conversation about COVID at the start, because this interview was done months ago when COVID was still COVID was still high in the Philippines. Anyway, but if you want to skip all that, that's fine with me. I won't get mad. I won't charge you extra. And you can go straight to the Wolfgang, the juicy Wolfgang stuff. But anyway, thank you again for your support. This is WDRS Talk. Can't wait for you guys to listen to this interview, episode 32 with myself and Wally Chamsay. Enjoy. Hey, Wally.
Hi, how are you? God,
Oh man, it's so good to see you. Oh my gosh. You haven't aged. You haven't aged a bit.
oh gosh, I wish that was true. What state are you in now? California pa, no?
Yeah, California, in Orange County.
Oh, what time is it there now?
It is 7:03 p.m. But the night before.
Okay.
Yeah. Friday
Not
night. How are you?
Oh,
How's your cough? You seem to have gotten over it.
oh, actually, between us girls, I actually have COVID now, so I'm on lockdown.
Oh my gosh.
Pero,
Since when?
I went in on Monday, got the test on Tuesday, and then been in isolation ever since.
Oh wow.
So,
So how are you? Is it bad or?
no naman. First few days you feel like you had the flu, but after that, right now it's just like soon you get COVID, you get a cough. It's the first reaction is pneumonia.
Oh right. Okay.
So you actually just have to cure the pneumonia, then you're okay.
Ah.
That's what I'm doing right now. And it's only antibiotic naman, saka it's
Yeah.
incurable naman.
So you're home alone.
No, no, my wife also has it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Do your Are your
we,
kids still there, or do they have?
my kids, my two daughters are in Australia, and I have a son in New Zealand.
Wow.
So they're in the lucky countries because they don't
Yeah,
have.
there's no COVID in New Zealand for sure.
Oh yeah. So, but it is what it is. I mean,
Yeah.
they figure we got it from the packages that you receive.
Oh,
Because
wow.
you know how. So you go out, you're careful and things like that.
Right.
The problem is it's now so convenient to have things delivered here.
Right.
So after a while, every day you wake up, there's a giant bunch of packages outside. You just get careless.
Yeah. I
So they
mean, you
said,
don't. How many hands did those packages pass through? So,
right? And then the thing is that you bring it into your house, you leave it there for a day.
yeah.
So
Oh man.
told me you have to like unpack everything, leave the packaging material outside your house.
Outside. Yeah.
Uh,
Did you get vaccinated?
yeah, yeah. I got the Moderna shot, which was terrible. It put you down for like 3 days.
Oh wow. Okay.
But apart from that, okay lang naman.
Well, I
Uh,
guess that's why your symptoms aren't. I mean, it's like a normal flu or pneumonia spell. I guess virus.
actually, sa atin, if you look at the numbers, we actually have very, very low death rates.
Yeah.
So I think it's really, uh, I hate to say this, Joey Concepcion once said na parang there's something about the Filipinos na they don't seem, they can catch it and they get sick, but they
Yeah.
don't, which is a good thing.
You know what it is?
Oh,
It's all the bacteria that we're used to living in the Philippines, especially if you live in Manila. I
yeah,
mean, you can just imagine the bacteria you have to go through when you're just living.
yeah.
Just living in that city is, you. I mean, uh, you develop a tolerance.
No, but imagine, like I have a friend who works in public services, right? And he said, tonight you'll have at least 3 million people go home and they're going to sleep in a common room because he's squatter yan, di ba?
Oh, right.
And at least one person will have COVID in that room.
Yeah.
3 million people go home to that.
Grabe.
So I don't know what the solution is. I mean, uh, dito kasi sa atin, lockdown seems to be a immediate knee-jerk reaction. But
Yeah.
it's not solving the problem. Eh.
The solution is really vaccination. That's what I think. I mean, because what's happening here in the States is that the people who are I mean, they don't even call it a third wave anymore. It
Yeah.
because it's a Delta variant now. It's a new thing. It's
One.
not anymore the OG.
Yeah,
It's not anymore the OG variant of COVID. It's a
right.
second one na.
Yeah.
So nag-spawn na siya, di ba?
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
man. So most of the 99.1% of the cases now from this spike are all unvaccinated people. And
Yeah.
then it's trickling out. It's not a big wave of people admitting to the publicly about their, they didn't want to get it before, but they got sick and now they regret it.
Yeah.
That's it comes out every now and then. People
Mhm.
are brave enough because it's so complicated here with COVID because the last president really politicized it, whereas it shouldn't have been because it's about health.
Mhm.
You can't you can't mix politics and health. I mean, it doesn't work.
Right.
So now he polarized these two kinds of people. His Most of his followers don't want it, but of course the sensible ones will get it. They're not going to jump in the river with him.
Yeah.
But there are a sect of people who just jumped with him. It's like they put all their faith into that guy. So they're the ones who are getting it now. So it's
Here it's different. It's a lot of it has to do with the election.
mhm.
So For example, one of the things that happened is that recently the president announced and said, "Okay, if you don't get your vaccine, you won't get your 1,000 peso aid." So
For
taken
your
off
vote.
1,000 pesos. But you know, the all the vaccine centers were swamped.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's an easy solution pala to get people vaccinated. Here, just pay them 1,000 pesos to get vaccinated.
I mean, you can, and not just vaccinated. You can pretty much ask them to do anything for $1,000. You
Yeah,
know.
but they're suppressing the vaccine for some reason, the dispersion, because there's a combination of they ordered all these Chinese vaccine, which nobody wants.
Right.
They want to bring out a lot of the vaccine closer to the election.
Oh,
So
the what, the Pfizer's and the Modernas.
yeah, so the US
Wow.
I think, donated 40 million shots in one big go, and they're having a problem bringing that out.
But
So
yeah, but that's the thing. It's really different. The COVID situations in the Philippines and here is really different because here it's really political, but there it's more of, like you
ran,
said, it's the low death rate. It's
yeah,
like what, not even 40,000, right? It hasn't
yeah,
reached 40 yet.
yeah,
So, and there's a lot of people in the Philippines. There's millions of people there. So it has to be naturally, if it were in American terms, they would still be the death rate would have been much much higher, into the millions, I would think. But like I said, Filipinos have just developed an immunity from all these, and not just the bacteria, but all of these cultures passing through the
right,
Philippines. So
yeah,
there's all these germs from the whole world are passing through the Philippines, and the Filipinos who are there permanently,
hmm,
and the locals, who, whatever you are, if you're a resident of the Philippines,
yeah,
you develop this immunity or something, this extra
yeah.
oomph.
No, and gosh, it's decimated the live industry here.
And here it's coming back already. That's why they want. That's why the more vaccinations happen, the faster it's gonna come back.
Oh,
So now, like the Foo Fighters, they just had no, they postponed the show, but they required they require vaccination cards,
oh, that's
and they
good.
and they still sold out the forum.
Wow.
So, but then of course they had some fans who were like, who are hardcore.
Yeah,
I'm not vaccinating myself, or gonna anti-vaxxers, whatever.
yeah,
So they were picketing outside, but they were really a minority.
mm,
They're just very vocal about it, but
yeah,
they are a minority. And then the other aspect is the black community, who
hmm,
don't and their only reason is that they don't trust the government,
that's
because I know, but they have reason, because like the Tuskegee experiments, I think they were experimenting penicillin on these
right.
black military people, right?
Yeah,
Without telling them what it was. They were just injecting them without their permission, without nothing, nothing, nothing.
yeah,
Thankfully, it was penicillin. It was
yeah,
medicine that helped save lives. But that's the point. They don't trust the government, because they just, those black guys back then were just injected without their permission, and it's like, what the hell is this? It's like, well, trust us.
yeah.
So that's where they're coming from. And for a while, there was like on TV, you'd see commercials of black artists and entertainers, endorsing the vaccines.
Mm,
So it's very different, really different circumstances,
yeah,
but still the same. It's still the same goal. Everyone has to get vaccinated for the world to go back to quote unquote normal.
yeah.
You have to be vaccinated. There's
No, there's no way around it.
no way around it. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I'm a big fan of vaccine. I mean, I think it's an added precaution you must have. And
Yeah.
what's the deal about having it?
Yeah, I post sometimes on Facebook, and my defense is like when we were all kids, we were all vaccinated for anti-polio, anti-measles, anti-whatever, so many vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
And I was listening to this podcast, and they were saying that some like really isolated tribes. I mean, there's still tribes out there, right?
Yeah.
And they're still getting these diseases that have been long gone from the rest of humanity. But
Yeah.
since they're isolated and they're still tribesmen, they're still in that mindset of like that, headhunters and stuff like that. They're getting these diseases that were long gone. So that's just proof that
Yeah.
these viruses, these disease viruses, I guess, they're out there, and they're out there. They're gonna get any human being,
Right.
So you gotta. And then and then my sister, she tells stories about her son's classmates, because some of his classmates' parents are anti-vaxxers, so they didn't vaccinate their kids.
US.
Oh, yeah, yeah, his classmates, and they're always sick, they're always tired, they're always, it's like, come on, it's like have mercy on the child, It's
Yeah.
like, and then when he's 18, then he can decide, okay, no more vaccines for me if he doesn't want, but
Yeah.
it's still your responsibility for that child to grow up, yeah. So
Oh wow.
So, yeah.
It's a strange.
yeah, very strange world. Oh my God. You imagine back when we were still, we were working together.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't. Could you have imagined like something like this?
Oh no.
With-
It's
not-
literally you're in a war, right? It's just nobody's, but people are dying daily.
Yeah, you're right. It's a war. There's just no explosions,
Yeah, but people are dying. I've had a lot of friends who passed away, and
Wow.
parang it hits you on a personal level when it comes to that, right?
Right.
So I think I don't know how to get out of this though, because I used to do so many things, and now you can't do anything anymore.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I was lucky because I'm a caregiver by day.
Mhm.
So anything that's related to the health industry,
Yeah,
your job was secure
yeah,
because you have to do it.
yeah,
And luckily for me, I was very fortunate that I'm a one-on-one thing.
right.
So I
Yeah.
don't work in those in the retirement place, which is where, my God, that was the buffet for COVID, those places.
Right.
My God, the first wave, the first deaths were all in these retirement homes,
Yeah.
So during the pandemic, I kept my job. I
Mhm.
was receiving unemployment from my other job.
Yeah.
So, I was very lucky.
Yeah.
But a lot of Americans are still suffering now. I mean,
Mhm.
right now, the issue right now here is evictions.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so serious. There's millions, and not thousands, millions of people are threatened to be evicted from their rented places, because they don't have a job, they can't afford the rent.
Yeah.
So the government right now is trying to help them out, but they're not moving fast enough.
Yeah.
So they did something that will delay it for some time, but they still have to pay off the landlords to save all
Right.
these people.
Yeah.
Like,
But they
it's
don't.
what's that?
If they don't pay off the landlords all go under.
Yeah, yeah. Everyone goes under. So
Yeah.
they have to. The government the government really has to step in, and it's so funny because all of these issues here in the States now are screaming for quote unquote socialism, or democratic socialism at the very least. But that the government comes in and helps out, which is
Right.
what they did, which is what they exactly did during Obama
Mm-hmm.
in that the crash in
Yeah.
2008. They
Yeah.
saved the auto industry, they saved all the banks, they saved the yeah. So now it's like it's time to save the people. I mean, the past president didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
This president is like a turtle doing
Mm-hmm.
it. So now everything is coming out, and Americans are just like, it doesn't matter who's up there.
Yeah.
We need help. Whoever's up there, you need to help us right now. That's the situation here right
Yeah.
now.
Well, the Philippines right now is the highest unemployment rate since World War II.
Oh my God.
So we have, let's say, 120 people in the population, right? 50% are eligible for work. 25% of them don't have work.
So 75% of the population doesn't have work.
No, yeah. Well, basically, yeah, 75%
Yeah.
working. So in the grocery stores, the basket sizes are getting smaller because they can't afford to buy everything anymore.
Oh my God.
So that's actually the problem because the lockdowns, they say suppress the virus, but in
Yeah.
exchange of the lockdown, you destroy the economy.
Yeah.
So, and then if you go things like Power Books, there are a whole bunch of these fast food chains, all closed na because
Oh
they can't
wow.
open anymore,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, they have certain retailers which haven't been open for 8 months. So things like those, the stores you ignore, Paperotti, yung mga ganyan, they're
Uh-huh.
all- so how to the challenge of the whoever comes in, no, is really how to bring back the economy.
I think I'm starting to think that total lockdowns are not the it's really the vaccines. It's
Yeah,
really comes down to the vaccines.
it comes
Because
down.
the lockdown doesn't really, because this whole, like, LA is locked down again, LA
Yeah,
County, and I'm in Orange County, so it's a different county. So the businesses there are just like fed up already. It's like they opened for like 3 months, now they're locked down again.
yeah,
It's like, and they're just saying, and they have been talking about, to the government in the governor and the government in California. It's like, why don't we just pay people to get the vaccines already? Just pay people, like what's
yeah,
happening in the Philippines.
yeah.
Just pay people. And I forgot to tell you this. It's like I got a gift card from Target,
Mhm.
local,
Yeah.
Target, right? The local department store, for $25 for every jab I got. So I got the
Mhm.
Pfizer, which is 2 jabs. So I'm waiting for my second gift card.
Yeah.
So my medical insurance rewarded me with $50 for getting vaccinated. So it's
Wow.
like, that's the way.
Yeah,
That's the
that's
way
good.
to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have to pay me, but I mean, now I'm like, okay, well, at least they're serious when someone gives you money like that, okay, they're serious. When say, we want everyone vaccinated, then go, we'll
Yeah.
give you money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, here, wala. Here, if you go to certain hospitals like St. Luke's, they don't even accept your PhilHealth card anymore because the government owes them 2 billion and hasn't paid them yet.
Oh my God.
So
See
when you
that?
go and you give it, they'll say, "I'm sorry, we don't accept this."
Oh my gosh. And it's just a miracle that that death toll is not high.
Yeah, well, the other side, people saying they're underreporting.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Well, everyone is underreporting, you think?
Because, okay, so by law, if you think you have COVID, you're required to go to a government authorized testing facility to have it verified.
Okay.
So I had to go to the city health center. You can't just have an ordinary doctor do it.
Right.
So after that, they take a swab test and they say, okay, you're positive. Now you have to go get an X-ray and a blood test. But we can't do those things here because it's full.
Mm.
Can go to a hospital. So I said, oh, sige, any hospital. They said, any hospital. I went to St. Luke's and they have a special wing for COVID patients now.
Okay.
You're only allowed if you're a COVID patient into that wing, and it's open air because you can't be air conditioned, things like that. It's well,
Okay. Yeah.
but you sit down there and you realize, wait, I'm with about 150 people who have COVID.
Oh my god.
Then they'll sit down and tell you, okay, it's a priority system. When a doctor goes there and checks you out and says, okay, you're based on comorbidity. So if you're really, in bad shape, they prioritize you. I had to wait 6 hours because they said you're relatively okay.
Well,
And
yeah.
when I finished the test and everything, no, the guy told me every day they accept 200 they certify 200 people as positive. And he said it's 90% is Delta variant already.
Oh my gosh.
So, but then he said, the difference with the Delta and the non-Delta is he said the Delta tends to stick more. So, but he said, it's parang you're still okay.
Yeah.
And the thing is that you're actually in the driveway of the ER. So you have all of these people coming in and they're being in
Oh,
things like that.
yeah.
So parang he was saying, look, no matter how bad you think you're at, there's so much people who are a lot worse than you. So they only accept now those, I guess, life or death situations
Yeah.
with limited capacity.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. And then yun nga, parang I think while we have relatively low death rate and infection rate, I think a lot of it is underreported.
Uh-huh.
Because the guy said, look, we're already just one hospital, we're over 200 a day. That's
Shit.
terrifying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Hospitals, right?
Yeah.
So he said, I don't know what they report. We don't care anymore.
My gosh. It's yeah, you're right. It's probably a much larger number.
It
My
is.
God.
But, what can you do? I mean, it's the Philippines, right?
Shit.
So,
Man.
but, the good thing, though, is that if you're really, I guess, matyaga and, you go through all the motions, you can get vaccinated if you really want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah.
Especially in the NCR region. I'm not too sure in the provinces because I know the people who started coming to Manila are from the provinces because they can get vaccinated there. So they're trying to palusot here.
Oh.
So, but I don't know if this is going to go away anytime soon.
Shit, I don't think so, man. I mean, here, it's like, at least like the Foo Fighters, a big band like that, to say
Right.
we need vaccination cards. They're
Yeah.
not gonna bend to the will of the minority. Say fascist, whatever. It's like, no, this is not
Yeah.
political. This is
Yeah.
for everyone's health. We want everybody in there to be vaccinated. So there's no. So even if there is a virus there, we're all protected at the
Yeah.
very least, right? Yeah.
Right.
Such a weird time, and you're right. It's a war.
It
I
is.
mean, it's a crowded hospital.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I never really thought of it that way, but yeah, you're right. Shit. Well, anyway, let's talk about nicer things.
Sure.
So anyway, I wanted to chat with you because we're celebrating the 25th anniversary of Semenelin.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine that, 25 years, huh?
Gosh, yeah.
silver anniversary of that album. My gosh. And not many people know this, but they will after this. Is that you were the catalyst. You and your team in Sony, you guys were the ones that let. I can't. I I just consider Wolfgang to be really fortunate that you let us be ourselves, and you had this perfect marketing strategy that was like, genius. It was pretty much genius for that time, for that era, or any era. It was a marketing success, and people need to know that you, Wally Chamsay, and the rest of the guys and ladies in Sony Music, yeah, you were. It was like the perfect marriage of a record company and a band.
Hmm.
So people need to know that you were part of that, and that it was all your idea. It was all your idea, man. And an album like Semenelin. I mean, if you, I listened to it again. So I've been posting like some trivia on my Facebook
Right.
feed, and I'd listened to the whole album again. I'm like, wow, we got away with this. We got away with this album with songs that are 6 minutes long, and all of that. I mean, we got away with it, and I wanted to s- I wanted to know what all of that was from your side,
Ah, okay.
because I didn't before I met you, I didn't know who you were. We didn't even know that Sony Music was like in the Philippines already. So how did that? What was the? How does that happen? How do you open a Sony Music in the Philippines to begin with?
Uh, I got very lucky. I met the right people at the right time. And by sheer coincidence, back then it was a different world, no?
Mm-hmm.
The music industry was actually very, very sophisticated and had a very rich culture of technology and way of doing things. So originally, I flew to the US to meet the head of EMI,
Mm-hmm.
who was talking about their company in the Philippines. And then later on, I got to talk to the head of Warner. And the last company I spoke to was the head of Sony.
Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. What were you doing at that time? What was your thing?
Okay, it was a weird thing. A friend of mine was hired as a consultant for Asia, and he was going around doing reports on different countries. And his job was to sort of uh, make a report on, I think he's doing 5 countries in Southeast Asia. And
Mm.
I was a point of reference for the Philippines. But all these executives, they don't fly to see you, so they'll expect you to fly up to see them, right? And back then, everyone was based in New York.
Right.
So fly to New York, they would pay you relatively good money to sit down and interview with them for about maybe an hour. So they'd ask you things about like the promo girls, consignment, things like this, the
Oh,
trade
okay.
stuff. Uh, my last stop was Sony, and the guy said, "Would you ever consider working for Sony?" And I started laughing, and I said, "You've got an Indian in Hong Kong who won't allow food in the office, and you actually think I'll go and work for a company like that?"
Oh my God.
And it was so weird because I think that was around October, right? And on Christmas Day, I was shocked. He called me up to say Merry Christmas and said, "I fired that guy in Hong Kong. Would you come and do an interview with us in January?" Oh, I said,
So
"Okay."
who is this person in Sony Music in New York?
Oh, that was a guy called Robert Boland.
Uh-huh.
He used to be the head of Price Waterhouse, and Sony pirated him to go head, I think he set up their whole corporate structure, and after a while, he was told you can go to any business you want, and he picked the music industry. And
Oh, okay.
so when he started, his first act as president of Global Music was to hire two uh, new country managers in countries they had no presence in.
Ah.
Me and a guy from Poland. And uh, when I went there, he said, "You know what I like about you is that you're telling me things I should hear, rather than the guy from Poland who's telling me all this other stuff, but it's useless, right?" So he said, "What did it take to uh, get you to come on board?" And then the only thing that would make me come on board is that if I had the absolute uh, power and authority to do what I wanted.
Wow.
And because I really didn't want to, right?
Yeah.
And he said, "Okay, consider yourself hired."
Wow, galing.
And I thought it was a joke. Till he drove us up to his house in Connecticut for dinner. And I was thinking, oh,
Oh,
something real.
oh my
And,
gosh.
if you look at things now, uh, like for example, I tried to push a lot of artists abroad and things like that. Normal executives don't really uh, care for that,
Mm.
but
They just
because
do it. They just concentrate on the local thing.
yeah, because they just want to
Yeah.
make right.
Yeah.
I call them up and say, "Look, I'm going to spend all our income this year trying to push these guys overseas," and he's like, "Yeah, what the hell?"
Oh
Uh,
my God.
and so that's
Well,
what I said. I'd like to do things differently. Nobody does like heavy metal here in that whole sort of like Metallica vein, and I'd like to pursue something like that. Like, no, go for it. The idea would be to build a catalog of work that would represent our Filipino artists.
yeah.
So that was nice, but the majority of the work, you can package an album really, really well. If it sucks, it sucks. I think
Yeah.
Semenelin is I sent it out to him when I had the first CD pressing.
Mm-hmm.
He came back to me and said, "Hey, pretty good stuff."
Oh,
So
really? So he was impressed with the
yeah,
packaging. Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah.
So no, not the packaging, the album itself.
Oh, the
Right?
album itself. Oh, wow. Okay, cool. What's his name again? Shit, I gotta say a prayer for this guy. What's that?
Bob Bolin.
Bob Bolan. Okay.
So
Wow. So, oh my gosh. It goes deeper than you. It goes
oh
up
no,
to him. So
everything
he
I
gave
said,
you the freedom to give us freedom.
yeah.
My God, galing.
And that's why if you notice with most of the artists that I work with, it's okay, if you can come up with just one or two commercial tracks, then the rest of it, knock yourself out. And the idea is that a, it's a unique culture in Sony. They back then, I don't think they do it now. They would afford you a mentor, right? So when I went to New York, he said, "Okay, we're going to get you a mentor. He's not your rock and roll guy, but he's a pretty good guy."
Okay.
Okay, who is this guy? And I went there. It was Peter Asher, and
I know
this was
that. Well, I recognize that name. What's that?
Peter Asher is Paul McCartney's brother-in-law. He was the first
Oh.
for the Beatles.
Ah, okay. Oh my God. Holy shit.
And they said, "We're giving you this guy because we think that you have a bright future in terms of administration, running an international organization, and you could learn from Peter." So I was thinking I would learn things like, how to sort of communicate with the Koreans and the Thais, and talk
Mm.
to them. Nothing whatsoever. Peter would sit down and talk about hours about how they were late for a wedding, but John Lennon refused to leave the piano because he was writing "Let It Be"
Oh
and
my God.
wedding.
Oh man.
And he said these are things that you're not people are not going to tell you about in the music industry. But this is what the music is about. So they had a
Mhm.
lot of weird sayings back then. Like they would always say, Peter was always, it's all about the music.
Yeah.
And he's produced like 75 different artists since that time.
My gosh.
An amazing body of work. And he's still performing live now. If I can ever get down to Vegas, one of my dreams is to catch one of these shows.
Yeah.
So, but imagine, and then it's like, have you seen that new act that was on American Idol recently, that Nightbird?
No.
Okay, so it's this very very frail woman who goes out on stage
Uh-huh.
and she sings this song called "It's Okay," and you realize the before that is that the reason why she's on America's Got Talent is that she had a relapse with cancer.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So the whole song is about her last year of life.
Oh, shit. Oh.
And the lyrics are so simple. She only has maybe 6 verses in it, but it's so beautifully done. See, and then you stop and you see a moment like that, and you go, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how I felt in the early days when I first heard, I guess, the first version of Weightless.
Oh, the demo.
Yeah, right. I remember you hear music like that, and then it touches you in a certain way, and you realize, oh, this is important.
Uh-huh.
It's not really a question of this will sell, this will not sell, or radio will play this or not. You realize that when you hear a certain piece of music, that it's important, and when you realize it's important, you realize that other people will feel the same way.
Mm.
Very very hard to find.
Right.
I think people.
Wow.
I mean, you've listened to a lot of music too, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you come across that maybe from an artist maybe once or twice in their whole career of songs. I've
Yeah,
seen,
that's why you have a favorite album of an artist, because that's the one that got you.
yeah, and that I think is there are a few people here like that. That Alex from Urban Dub, the Alex Lim, the manager.
Okay.
Oh, so he does this thing now where he goes out to all the Visayas and Mindanao artists.
Uh-huh.
He starts canvassing for people who and developing them. He works for, I think he has a gig with Warner,
Uh-huh.
and it's Ian Monsod now who's running Warner. And
Oh,
Ian,
really? Holy
yeah,
shit. Oh my God, Ian.
yeah.
Damn.
And I think, you know, Alex is doing some very cutting edge work
Mm-hmm.
because he's with like these small unknown artists from in the middle of nowhere, and 90% of it is labor of love.
Yeah.
I think what I thought was really good is recently he started connecting these unknown artists that he's working with in like Dumaguete or
Mm.
Iloilo,
Yeah.
connecting them now with medyo mid-level producers in the US who are Filipino.
Ah.
So now it's starting to create a new thing for Warner, which I thought was so creative. And you can only do that, I think, if you really love what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Just a job.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with a lot of the people in the industry. It's
Mm.
just a job. All they want to do is, okay, I've done my thing. I've been cool for the day.
Yeah. I'm gonna go happy hour and drink
Yeah,
and eat sisig.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that made the whole difference. I mean, so when you heard the demo of Weightless,
hmm
what did you get it right away? Did you like right away? Did you? Because I mean, we were pushing it. I mean, we even as a band, we were pushing ourselves. We were like, let's put a Santana part in this part. The halftime. Dun, 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 dun. It came naturally for us because we like that kind of music. We like the Santana, Afro-Cuban, Latin style. So we were like, I don't know, man. It works for us. I don't know if what. So what was your reaction when you press play?
Oh, I loved it. I mean, to me at that time, it was probably the most cutting edge thing I'd ever heard, and that's why I said yes immediately.
Wow.
I mean, you have to do that kasi because in the record industry, it's really the whoever is the approving authority actually has cash. That's what he has,
Mm,
and he'll
right.
say, "I'll bet on this or not." That's it.
Yeah.
There's very little science that goes on into it. In fact, the entire music industry I've always compared to like a cottage industry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For
You
sure.
know,
Yeah.
so it's not simple. It's not complicated. And if you sort of like manage yourself well, you'll do okay. I think the biggest challenge kasi is integrity and
Hmm.
in the industry, right?
Yeah.
So you have certain people who will lie to you outright and tell you, "Oh, forget about school, forget about all these other things. You have
Yeah.
a career now." I don't agree with those. And on the other hand, is you have people who promise you anything to come on the label, and
Yeah.
when you get on the label, they don't want to do anything for you.
Yeah.
I mean, this 20 plus years after, right? The
Hmm.
big regret I have is that I could not secure the live, sort of like live gigs for the artists more. It was something I always thought that the record label should have done back then.
What do you
And
mean?
um, kasi parang di ba, if you could get your artist more work,
Oh, okay.
right?
Like the record company looks for the gigs too.
Yeah, to actually
Yeah.
sit, rate the gigs and all that. I mean, I tried with a team of yan, sina Jet, sina Luciel. And
Yeah.
I tried, but then it was really hard that time because you're
Yeah,
competing.
but then we came up with that Semenelin Nation tour, which was pretty successful. You remember that one? There was Sony. That was your idea, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that was the
Yeah.
actual pilot, right?
Yeah.
And I was trying to get them to replicate that with the other artists. They couldn't.
Right. Yeah. Oh, okay.
That was my problem.
Yeah. Well, it's already hindsight is already 2020, but we could have done like a traveling festival kind of deal, like all the bands. Because uh, if it just to remind people who are listening, you pretty much signed everyone that you signed is still either still performing or the music is still um, you know um, it's still being played on the radio because
Mhm.
Wolfgang is still being played on the radio.
Yeah.
And so you signed us, Wolfgang, you signed Razorback, you signed Greyhoundz, you signed Barbie's Cradle, and you and Andrew E, right?
Yeah, Andrew.
Yeah, even Andrew E. I mean, we were all successful. We were all successful acts. We were all different from one another, and you pretty much gave. I'm gonna say you pretty much gave artistic freedom to everybody else, not just us, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I wanted it to be different because I know with all the other record labels, they will insist that yes, we will manage your career, but you're gonna do it this way.
Uh huh.
I wanted to be the one label that didn't tell you to do that.
Shit. But what you did was actually just augment the band and just make us bigger than we actually were. I mean, which is what the record company does in the marketing sense,
Yeah,
It's like why U2 is so big because they were marketed like that, the biggest band in the world or whatever. So you believe that,
hmm?
and and your what was the because I remember how did you so when you because you mentioned earlier you wanted to find a band a metal band
Hmm.
like Metallica. Did you know that Wolfgang existed already at the time or not yet?
Yeah,
Or what? Oh, okay,
I,
you did.
I've already let it go.
No, I mean before you got the job in Sony, before all
Oh,
of your meetings with them.
yeah. Who was I looking at? Actually, there are only two bands. It is so strange, right? I would go to some, some place like Strums with JB, who would showing me South Border. And JB Colaiko
Oh
actually.
yeah, so South Border, you signed them too. Shit.
So I remember they had one track
Mm,
that was Kahit Kailan, right?
mm.
Then that's how early it was. Then after that, we would go to other places like Mayrix, and then we would look at guys like you. And I said,
Oh,
that's the band, right? And it's really, that's the band because musically, it's the only band that really deviated from where everyone else was going. Kasi di
yeah,
ba, dati there's a trend in how you had to play, how you had to create your music. And I think what was nice with you guys is you went the extra mile. I mean, yeah, you had the extra long sets, you had all sorts of stuff.
yeah.
But I always thought that's what made it unique, right? And everyone was telling me, I remember a lot of people were saying, no, don't get these Mistizo bands. Because I remember catching the last act of Razorback on Calle
Mm.
when it was closing na.
Oh, okay, right.
And they were like, don't get these Mistizo bands. They won't travel well with the locals. And I said, yeah, but that's not the point. They sound better than the other bands.
Yeah, yeah,
This is about the music. It has to be about the music, not about what they look like or whether they can speak Chabacano or mga ano.
right.
And they were at that time. It was, I think, Carl Roy was doing his stuff, and he was talking about TOT and everything. And they were going, this is going to go places with somebody like Carl who's more relatable. How
Yeah,
do you be like a Basti or a Tirso?
yeah,
But I don't care. It's the music, right?
yeah.
Because when you close your eyes and you're in your car and your radio, you're not gonna see all that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it was just perfect for the time because there was still, pre YouTube. Internet was so new at the time. You
Yeah,
know, so yeah, the music really mattered. And my god, it's just amazing what you. So where did you see us in Mayrix? That's when you said, okay, was it in Mayrix
not in Merix.
or Club Dread?
I think it was. I saw you close out a set in Club Dread, and I think it was from the first album pa the
Oh
songs.
wow.
And I was listening to it, and I go, very very compelling lyrics. You cannot deny, and then
Oh
the way
yeah.
they wove through the lyrics, I love that. In the first album, it's different in the albums that came after, but that first album was so different, right? And I said nobody does this type of thing. Well, maybe early Juan de la Cruz when
Yeah.
they're released out and all that, but
Yeah.
uh, certainly not in the later works, di ba?
Yeah.
So I always thought that you know it would have been nice if it could cross over overseas, di ba? And that was nice because the way that Basti had structured a lot of his lyrics,
Yeah.
baka lumusot.
Yeah.
Eh, the only problem is that syempre when you go abroad, the bar is so high also.
Oh man, yeah. I found that out the hard way,
Yeah,
the real way.
yeah.
So I've been on interviews and somehow relating a story that a funny story that happened in Ivory when we left them. The
Mm-hmm.
moment and when we had this meeting, because we had the meeting to tell them that we didn't want the option to continue
Yeah.
unless and then because we had Manuel, because Manuel is the spokesman. You know Manuel. He's the diplomat. He's the level-headed one, and the three of us are all emotional. So it's like Manuel's gonna talk, and he's like, okay, if they don't, what's our condition for us to stay? So we had to decide. It's like, well, Sony says there's a chance that they can bring us out of the country. So that's what we asked them. They have to match whatever that claim. So there's this whole story of that meeting, which ended up us getting kicked out. Do you know this story? Did we ever tell you this? We got kicked out of that guy's what's his name? Ocampo, right?
Yeah, Tony Campo.
Tony Ocampo. Oh my God, we got kicked out of the office because Mon said fuck.
Yeah.
You know how Mon is, Mr.
Yeah.
Side comment. It was a side comment, but I guess the old guy was like offended with the word, and we got kicked out. And then I remember in the parking lot, we're just looking at each other. So it's like, I guess we're signing with Sony, right? And then Patrick was like, wait a minute, I gotta go back up there and say something so it's not weird or whatever. It's like, go, whatever, let's go to Sony right now. And yeah, that was and then I remember before that meeting, you brought us out to lunch, man. You took us out on a date, man. And then they're like, oh, and then of course the people, Ivory, they didn't do that at all.
Mhm.
All they did when we would get food while we were recording the album, but we were never wined and dined like you do. So we're like right off the bat, it's like, okay, Sony Music, Epic Records, the record company of Michael Jackson and all of these great artists, and this guy is telling us that we can do anything, and so. It was amazing. It was just amazing when I look back at it, and Wolfgang would not be Wolfgang because that second album really took us to
Yeah.
everywhere, all the way to the States,
Yeah.
all the way to Japan, So, man, thank you. I just want to say thank you, man. And then another thing, like you were saying, another thing that I liked about you is like you gave it to us straight all the time. You never sugarcoated it. You always gave us the options. Okay, this is the situation, A, B, and C. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And then whatever we decided, you said, okay. I'm like, you were so. I can't believe it. I can't. I can't believe we got away with making those albums. Not just Semenelin, but all the other albums are all very adventurous. When I look back at it, I mean, it's just amazing that you let us do all of that. You made Wolfgang grow until it could not. I mean, until it was fully grown. That those four people, and yeah, it was amazing. So another question I wanted to ask you was a little background on you
Mm-hmm.
that people don't really know. And I was shocked to know this when I found out back then, but I was shocked. It's like you were actually responsible for the Hollywood or Bust project. Is that correct?
With
Or part of it?
Dong
With who?
El Salvador.
Oh yeah. With the Rage Band. Yeah.
Yeah, not really. Oh, part of it, yes. My brother was recording it. We had a brand new studio back then, and he wanted to test everything.
Who's this, Dennis?
Yeah, Dennis.
Oh wow.
And so he said, "Can you come in and help a little bit?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And that was my first actual recording experience with a local artist. So I remember
Ah.
2-inch to their 16-track machines back then.
Yeah.
That was the height of technology. And that was a long, long time ago. It was I remember all super analog.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
So
And
what was
so,
that? So what was that project about? I mean, they
well, they wanted to go to Hollywood, and si Badong and si Marisa were dating at the time. So,
uh-huh. That's the singer and the guitarist, right?
yeah.
Okay.
So they needed to record a demo, and they had one track. We recorded like three versions of their demo.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Gave them like 100 cassettes, and that was it.
Oh, okay. But wasn't there a concert also?
Yeah, they had a concert for it. They at that time, si Juan Miguel was pretty big with Marisa.
Okay.
But I've also done things like that. You remember that "Tell the World of His Love" with the Pope and
Yeah,
Trisha.
I don't know. I'm not. I can't. I can't remember right now.
I did that more or less right after. That was the World Youth Day visit here.
Oh, okay.
And so this woman goes up to me out of nowhere, right? And she says, I need to record this demo to submit for a contest that the church is holding. And I was like, sure. But she said, I have no money. So I go, you're serious? And she goes, yeah. So I go, okay, you know what? I'll talk to my brother. If he's going to do it for free, I'll waive all the studio fees as well. And we recorded this one track called Tell the World.
Uh-huh.
And then later on, she won the grand prize and everything, which was
Oh,
100,000 peso cash, which is a lot of money back then. Two tickets that guaranteed you met the Pope. So she was giving the tickets to her parents. And
wow.
she came back and said, I promise if I ever won this, I'd pay you for it. Pero wala na eh. So you want to replicate this na lang for us? And you're like, yeah, sure, why not? So they'd probably make about 4 or 5 thousand copies. And out of doing, I don't know how many 100,000 copies at the end of the day.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it was huge.
I
I mean,
don't. I don't remember it, man.
oh yeah, worked for there's a religious record company before called Praise Incorporated.
Uh huh.
Actually worked there for about 4 or 5 years. So we had the whole series of the two big series I did there. One was for si Father Hontiveros,
Uh huh.
and that was the weirdest experience. You had this Jesuit priest with a little keyboard and at that time a little Mac computer, and he went up to the our office one day and was asking my brother to give him lessons how to do MIDI. This was
Okay.
back then, right? And eventually he would get things up and he would record himself. And that became eventually the start of Himi Jesuita, where all the Sinamanuling, Francisco, everything emanated from that one group.
Okay.
It was this one priest who would go there and say, Boys, wala akong pera.
So
So,
this is the priest singing a religious song on guitar.
yeah, no, he had a keyboard and he
Oh,
would bring,
a keyboard. Okay.
yeah, he would bring in small choirs and we could only, I told him, okay, lahat to TY, but we can only record it at night because doon walang gumagamit sa amin sa gabi.
Yeah.
Then Dennis, his poor Dennis, I made him record all of these people for free.
Oh my gosh.
But he did that, no? And then he did, eventually he started doing stuff on his own. So he's actually recorded for the Dominican Sisters a whole rosary series that has gone around the world.
Oh wow.
Uh,
Live.
and-
Live
huh?
recording.
Well, spoken word.
Oh, okay. All right.
And he's actually done a lot of work for the Daughters of St. Paul as well for free.
Wow. Sanay na
And
siya.
also, and to this day,
I guess you felt good. It's like, oh well, I guess it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, to Dennis naman, he just likes to be in a studio recording, right?
And of course, Dennis Cham
Mm.
recorded, engineered Worm, the third
Yeah,
album.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
he's a trip. He's fun to work with because he's so nerdy. It's fun, you know. So
uh,
it's just yeah.
he still records up to this day.
Where still in
Hit.
hit? Still in
Yeah,
hit.
yeah. I mean, he likes because he lives in that area,
Mm,
so he just walks to work every day. It keeps him busy.
nice.
So, but now it's mostly commercial work. But I
Yeah,
think in a while he still does stuff for the Madres.
it's interesting. Dennis Cham, man. So now let's get to that part of that that awesome marketing plan you had for Semenelin,
Hmm.
where it was like a three, at least a two-pronged attack. One being the single, the weightless single, and the roadworthy man side B,
Yeah,
and then you buy the cassette, and there was a CD already, right? The CD single. There's
right.
a CD single, right?
Yeah,
See, that's another thing that was groundbreaking for in the Philippines. A CD single, not just an album, but just the side A, side B. You know,
yeah.
another thing to to collect.
Hmm.
So
Oh,
it
well,
came out, huh?
I mean, I
Go ahead.
remember it. You bought a single, and later on came back to get the album for free.
For free, yeah. So
Yeah,
wait, how long was the wait? Was it a 2 week wait, or I think it's a 30-day wait, right?
yeah. The 30-day wait, and to drive people crazy when they went to the store, we had 12 different uh, cassette covers and 12 different CD.
Yeah, it's the
So,
best. And you had different posters in the
yeah,
record stores.
yeah, we had 6 different posters up.
Six.
So every week we changed the poster.
See, it was a three-pronged attack. See
Yeah.
the album, yeah. Oh my gosh. So how did that? How were the meetings for that in Sony? I mean, I would have been a fly on the wall to see that when you were coming up with those ideas.
One, you'd be surprised. Everyone actually likes this type of meetings,
Oh yeah,
rather straightforward or one cover, one ano. When you have these big creative meetings that challenge people, then people get more excited and more motivated to work. Right. So if you
yeah.
remember, we also did that Wolfgang one with the acetate film, and then they had instead of different covers because they said, well, you did that one thing with many covers. Each song had a sort of like a poster cover,
Hmm.
and the lyrics were at the back, and you could switch
Oh
them.
yeah, yeah. That's right for the CD.
Yeah. So
Was that
things
what
like
that was for the US one, right?
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
and the idea was that when you have these creative meetings, people will stay till 4 or 5 o'clock every day to discuss them. As long
Wow.
as A, you have to feed them, and B, you have to keep the creative going. But that type of thing is, I think, because the problem with people, especially now in the industry today, where everything's just stream one track. People don't care about what the consumer gets.
Yeah.
I wanted to get something that people would have, like, I hear about it now, no, 20, 30 years from now. I know some people who have a lot of the original cassette Semenelin albums that they never
Yeah.
opened,
Oh yeah.
right?
They never opened. They bought 2 copies or 3 copies. Or so,
Yeah, and that is important to them as
Yeah.
fans. And that's what I wanted. I thought the music industry should be about because the people I was working with primarily abroad, this is what they would do. They would sit down and go, "What does this fan want?"
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to, "Oh, just put out the music and make money." That's why, Sony at that time was a really, really unique company for me,
Yeah.
especially when they said, you know, uh, every year we'd have to meet about twice a year. And it always ends with show me your the projects you worked on and what you did, right? And he's always like, I want to see something better next year. See, I thought that was very, very cool. These days, it's just how much did you make of it in the end?
Oh yeah, it's not about the music anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not just music, it's a lot of it is packaging, a lot of it is holding something today, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I love it that vinyl's coming back in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And I hope it continues because it's not cheap, but it's not too expensive. It's like 1213.
Hmm.
Uh, there are pressings that are done in Hong Kong, which are fairly decent, and they're doing a lot of the OPMs. So
Oh really?
yeah, yeah.
Wow.
The in fact, the woman who's doing this used to. I don't know if you remember her name's Tasha Tuason before. Tasha. Well, she's Tuason now because she married a Tuason.
Uh-huh.
He opened a record store called Backspacer Records,
Uh-huh.
and they licensing and reissuing all these old PM. And I think they're doing wonderful work.
Where are they pressing it in Hong Kong?
They're pressing it in Hong Kong.
Oh wow. Okay yan ah.
Oh, and I think that eventually it'll come back. I can't relate to this parang. I think digital is wonderful in the sense that if you have only one good track, at least you can put it out. But I think like if you listen to the quality of a lot of the digital stuff out there, it's really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Actually, the
yeah. Go
the
ahead.
what's that?
No, it's okay on a headphone, but then the moment you put it on a speaker, it's terrible.
Oh yeah, especially Spotify. Oh my God, the audio quality of Spotify. But I don't know if you know this, but Apple Music they made their whole thing lossless, and then there's some songs. Well, not some songs, but there's a chunk of songs that are Dolby Atmos and spatial. It sounds amazing. I mean, amazing. I mean, it's digital, so it's in the phone. So it's as amazing as you can get on the phone. You know,
Mm,
and it really sounds really good, especially like on headphones.
mm.
So it's like I'm listening to all these. Even there's Semenelin is on Apple Music. So I heard Semenelin on there. I'm like, whoa, because it's lossless. They
Yeah,
somehow tweaked it lossless, and it's like, wow, I've never heard this album this clear. I mean, and this and the bottom end is so solid. So how
yeah.
did that? Do you remember how did that idea of different covers come about? Was it like I have an idea, all let's do different covers, or was it a gradual growth of an idea?
We were talking about how in the 70s they would release limited edition covers, right? And
Mhm.
why don't we do two? And then later on, uh, I don't know what. I guess it was the beer, and I said, why don't we do 20? Because the cost of printing is going to be a little bit more. And I said, yeah, sure. But then I go, can you imagine when we get to the store and all of a sudden you're there going to trade your get your free album, right? And all of a sudden you're like, oh gosh, which cover do I get?
Yeah. Oh yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I remember talking to James, and James like, well, if you can get the designs up in time, I'll get the merchandising space. And he did. I mean, we paid a lot of premium for the space and things like that. But I remember when the stores just opened that day when we had the merchandising, people were calling up that they were running out of certain designs, things like this. So that was very, very exciting for us.
Yeah. It was exciting, man. And then I remember the posters weren't even complete in one store. It was like maybe my face and
Yeah.
then Basti's will be in another store. So it's
Yeah.
really like collectible item if you get all four, and then we had even shirts from the top 40.
Yeah.
We even had shirts from top 40, and then yeah, it was amazing. And then so moving on, the Semenelin, and then I want to talk about that gig in Cebu. You were there
Right.
with that whole 30,000, 35,000 people.
Yeah.
Semenelin had come out already, right? Yeah, it had
Yeah.
come out already.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you expecting that crowd? Because we were not. Did you have any inkling that there were just going to be so many people?
Yeah, because it's Sinulog. Eh.
So
Right.
you were there. You were there just to be there for Sinulog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I had always envisioned that. So Cebu is like a huge untapped market, right? I
Mm,
think big for music. The problem there is that there's so much, um, I guess, diversity in terms of taste. But the demand is definitely there. And it was said that if you could make these big festivals like Sinulog work, or
mm,
you could do a big payout. So the big challenge that I'd always faced was that I said, okay, what if we go and do our own, right? And then the people who are actually managing artists like Sina Alvin, Sina Luciel were saying, you can't compete with the promoters because you're going to drive the promoters crazy if you go down there. Because I said,
oh, you wanted to produce the show.
yeah.
Ah, okay.
So my thing was, we should just make a deal and say, okay, because I said, if I can get 1 million to fund this, right? And then
Mm,
we will people because I think I had all the right people with me who could manage ticket sales, and you could reach out to other people who you could help you with. If I funded this thing, I can sit down and tell the artist, o ganito, wala kaming kikitain, hati na lang tayo. So anything you make in the concert is yours to keep. But then
wow.
that way we just have a giant festival every year,
Yeah.
right? And then they said, no, you can't do that. And I go, why? And they go, all the promoters will hate you.
Right.
And those are some of my regrets. I wish I went ahead and did it. Because I think you can still work with the promoter, probably hire them in.
Yeah. Hire them in as the local crew or whatever. But
Yeah,
you're
but
still the one who runs the show. I mean.
yeah, I
I
know. The
mean.
problem is that there's so much resistance lang.
Uh huh.
They wouldn't give you the venues, things like that.
Right.
But if I could have gotten that, I think that was the direction of where the record company should have gone.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I mean, you could have with the roster of Sony Music itself, you could have put a festival already with that
Yeah,
lineup:
yeah.
Wolfgang, Razorback, Greyhoundz, Barbie's Cradle, Andrew E. I mean, that's pretty
And
diverse right there. you
no,
know.
I know to get the venue, it's not
Yeah.
get the sponsors, but that was always the problem. They said the all the promoters would hate you because then you'd be taking money away from them.
From them. Yeah. No, but then that's why you just have to pay them off or
Yeah,
hire them. You know.
yeah. The problem is there are too many of them.
Yeah. Too many beaks.
Oh,
Too many beaks, man.
yeah.
So okay, moving on from Semenelin to Worm.
Hmm.
Now the special thing about Worm was that our whole adventure in Japan.
Yeah,
That was a whole. I mean, for me in my life, when I look back at those times, that whole Japan era of going there twice and being invited back because we got picked,
hmm,
really significant. Um, I think not just for Wolfgang, but for you and
hmm,
for the Philippines.
yeah,
I mean, we got you got Worm released in Japan. I mean, it's a collector's item, the Japanese press,
yeah,
and I'm so happy because when you're a band and you have a Japanese press. That's a different kind of badge.
Yeah.
And you understand that the Japanese press is always different from the whole world. So if you're a band and you have a Japanese version of your album, it's kind of cool. So how did that happen? How did that happen?
Um, it's okay. So in the music industry, I don't know how it is today because it's completely different. But back then, you basically had these opportunities to meet different people, and I'd met the head of the domestic label in Japan. So when I was there, do you remember? Long time ago, they had Ken Ishii came to the Philippines.
Yeah, Ken Ishii. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So when Ken Ishii came to the Philippines, the head of Japan called me up and said, "Look, Ken Ishii is the major techno artist of his time. He just done the soundtrack for Akira, and I need you to go help push the record." So I said, "Great, fly me in 2,000 CDs. I'll put up a big display there because that's the best time to hit it. You only tell me like 5 days before he's arriving. Of course, I can't get it up, right?"
Yeah.
But then we did a store signing in Tower. We did display during his show. So 15 CDs
Oh, really?
at all, right? And so a week after, I called up the head of Japan and I said, "Look, I'm sorry, we really tried, pero it's hindi talaga magets ng tao dito. A lot of people
Yeah.
show, but they don't
Yeah.
understand it."
Yeah.
And that's fine. And he goes, um, "When are you coming to Japan?" And at that time, I had to report to Japan 3 times a year. So I said, "Oh, this and this and this." He goes, "Okay, when you come to Japan, I will take you out for this Japanese yakitori barbecue, and let's talk about music." And
Is this the guy with the mustache?
well, they all had mustache. His name was
They all- no, but
he's,
I remember when we had dinner after the show,
mhm.
and that guy who was talking about, he's friends with Paul Rogers. Is that the guy you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah. His
Okay.
name was and he's a jazz musician actually.
What's his name again? You got cut off. Sorry.
Uh,
Oh, again.
Ito. So
Ito. Okay.
so what happened is that when I went to Japan, he said, "Look, I'm sorry. I know you wasted so much money with us. Pasensya na. I know
Yeah.
that's okay." And so he said, "So what music are you passionate about?" And that's when I gave him a copy of Worm.
Oh. Oh, he
And
asked you what? He asked you that question.
yeah, and later on, he called me up, right? Because back then the internet wasn't that big. No, everyone was doing long distance. And he called me up and he said, "I don't understand this music, but I gave it to." No, he said, "I gave it to my associate who does, and we want to try it." And that's how,
Wow.
right? So it's really the relationships you form with other people in the other parts of the world
Yes.
that will make it happen. Uh, I'll give you a great story. There's this woman called Lee Danai,
Hmm.
and she was a vice president from Warner who moved to Sony for publishing. And I had met her, and I think the reason why I ended up with her is that nobody wanted to stay with her kasi galing siya ng kalaban.
Okay.
And we had some lunch and we became really good friends. And before I left, she said, "Can I ask you for a favor?" I go, "Sure." He goes, "I've been working with this album. It's one of the most pirated albums on Napster.
Hmm.
And nobody wants to release it anywhere because they said, Napster already has 6 million copies. Who's going to buy it pa?" So I brought it home, and that album was John Mayer Room for Squares.
Oh shit. Yeah. That was
So,
so new. My gosh.
oh yeah, but I remember going to Ross and said, "Hey Ross, what do you think about this shit? I love it." So we released it. It was John Mayer's first gold album globally.
Yeah.
And that's all because there was this woman who said, "Uy, sige na paki." So you could still do that back in the day.
Yeah.
Now it's not so different. And
Yeah.
same thing, Kulay, they had their album.
Oh yeah,
That was,
Kulay. Yeah, Kulay. Forgot about Kulay. My gosh.
that was such sayang because I remember they hit the number 10 in the BBC. And
Wow.
that time they were the first Asian artist to actually do that.
Wow. BBC chart.
Yeah, in the UK.
Wow. Oh my gosh. What song?
Delicious.
Okay.
But unfortunately, that's when Jenny had her accident. So
I know.
it was like,
Yeah, that was so unfortunate. I mean,
yeah,
but
so
but
much.
still, but still, I mean, I mean, they were on their way to success. I mean, it was an act of God that stopped it. So, we can't do anything about that. But they were on. I mean, they were already successful.
Oh,
They
yeah.
were, like you said, they have the reputation of being the first Asian act to
Yeah.
crack the BBC
Yeah.
top 10 or whatever. Yeah, I mean, phew, I mean, yeah, there's a lot. You've got a lot under your belt. So that first visit to Tokyo was the showcase, right? Was that their idea, or was he asking you? Okay, so do you have a contestant for this contest? Was that the thing already, or did they come up with that
No,
idea?
actually dictate who can come. So you're
They
you're selected based on your music.
Oh, okay. So if China didn't produce anything good, they wouldn't have picked anyone
Right.
from there. Oh
Yeah.
wow. Okay.
So you guys were selected by the Japanese. It wasn't us. We give them a lineup of artists that we asked them to consider, and they picked from there.
So that event was already they put out the memo. We're having this, submit
Yeah,
your roster. Okay. Okay, I get it. That was fun, man. That
yeah. It
was
was,
so much fun. That was so much fun because this. You remember? I don't know if you rode with us with the transport. They had the big combi.
Mhm.
Remember the combi?
Yeah,
So we would go there with all the other bands from all the other Asian countries, and no one was talking to each other because no one
yeah.
spoke each other's language. Every
Right.
country had a distinct language, and none of them spoke English, so we couldn't communicate at all. Then after the whole show was done, everyone was relaxed already, and and I remember the drinks were free. The Asahi beer, that was the first time I tried Asahi beer. It's like when we were going home again, the same bus going back to the hotel, everyone was talking to each other, not understanding a word anyone else is saying because we were all drunk. But we were
Yeah,
all just laughing because no more pressure.
yeah,
It was a fun event. I mean, it was so much fun.
yeah.
And then I remember and then I remember one thing that's great about you is that you always have this smile on your face, and when you deliver news, it's really the same level every time. It's not You don't really get too excited like me. It's like if I was you and I was going to tell Wolfgang that Worm was gonna be released in Japan, I would have been like jumping and shouting and shaking everybody. But you were like, "Hey guys, guess what? Worm's gonna get released in Japan, and you're gonna play again." And whoop de doo, yay! It's like it was so simple and direct. And so, how did that part come about?
No, I mean, so when after the performance, right? This guy Ito, who's fairly high up in his division, no.
Hmm.
So what's nice kasi about them is that his job is he decides what actually gets on the shelf. So he can pick any record in the world and say, we're going to sell this in Japan.
Wow.
Right? So he goes, I didn't understand the word they said, but he goes, the music is really good. He goes, I've been to the Philippines so many. So he actually knew Tato from Freddie Aguilar days,
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? And he was saying, this is so different from where the music used to be. He goes, before you used to just be caught in this like slapstick 60s type of sound.
Uh-huh.
And I like this. This is actually very mature. And he goes, I just don't understand English lyrics.
Right.
But he goes, I can hear enough of it to know that it's good stuff. We're going to release this.
Wow, my gosh. That's awesome, man. Because I mean, for Filipino artists, I mean, for me, I'm talking about myself. I don't know about the other guys. It's like it when you turn on someone who's not a Filipino, because the success can get into your head, and it's got to my head a couple of times, and it's like the test is it's like, okay, your star's here, but are you going to convince someone who's not Filipino, someone who does not understand English at all,
Yeah.
like a Japanese person? And this guy this guy, like you said, he picks what goes on the shelves, so he knows his music. So to me, it's like it was a huge achievement.
Yeah, I mean, you have to realize the music of Wolfgang is different.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to articulate, but a lot of the music is very, very deep. It's very introspective. You can tell that somebody took a lot of time to put everything together.
Yeah.
And I think 90% of the people out there don't appreciate this type of stuff. And I think that those aren't really the music fans. They're just casual listeners.
Yeah.
And their Spotify's and Apple Music are so large, right?
Yeah.
When I was in the music industry, this was something that I thought was fascinating because I was said, how do you survive piracy?
Mm.
And look, in any point in history, only about 3 to 4% of the population actually bought original CDs.
Yeah.
It's just that the number of people in a population were so large that even though the volumes were low, it was enough to sustain the industry.
Right.
What killed it was when people decided that I don't need that CD, I can just get one track. That's what killed the industry.
Yeah, it really, yes. I mean, that's a good segue because we had, because we all went through that, the whole Napster thing. That it was a whole change,
Yeah.
and now, like we were just talking about Apple Music and the lossless. That's the result of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's this Apple Music lossless Dolby Atmos is the direct result of that change that happened at that time when it was becoming digital. And
Yeah.
I remember having a huge argument with Miguel Mari. You remember Miguel,
Yes.
the art director, right?
Yeah.
Of the album packaging, and a huge argument because he was already using Napster. He
Yeah.
was already, and I was still, I guess, on the side of anti-Napster, whatever, because I didn't know anything about it. It was just
Yeah.
whatever was on the surface again. And then, of course, Lars Ulrich of Metallica was already in Congress fighting this thing. So I'm like, okay, well, if Lars is fighting this, I guess I should fight it too, because So I had this huge argument with Miguel Mari in Hobbit House. I remember we were screaming at each other, yeah, making the point of him downloading stuff and me not liking it. But eventually, that's where it was all going.
Yeah.
So I eventually got an iPod, because Bas was like, have you seen this, man? Like he had the first generation iPod,
Yeah.
I was like, what's that? It's like, look at this. And then I'm, me being a techie nerd, I'm like, oh my God, what's this? Yeah, you fighting with Miguel Mari about this. This is the one, So if you eventually just, go with the flow, you can't, or unless you want to become an old fart,
Yeah.
who's mad at everything. I don't want to be that. So I guess. So what was it like? Did you see it coming? I mean, that
Um,
whole, because it's weird. The whole Napster thing is a totally different thing because since the internet wasn't that strong in the Philippines, no one really, and not everybody had internet during the time,
yeah.
so no one was really downloading. It was
Hmm.
people who were tech savvy like Miguel Mari who knew about it,
Right.
but um, it was still piracy in the Philippines. So it's
Hmm.
different from what was happening.
Yeah.
So did you see it coming?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we'd have long conversations about that. I mean, the challenge, kasi, is that in the old days, the music industry controlled media, they controlled distribution, so they could gate who actually became famous and who did not.
Mm,
And when all of this was coming, I said all of a sudden the industry would lose its relevance. And in fact, that was my last conversation with Peter Asher. And this was just as Napster was starting, right?
uh-huh.
He said, don't be afraid of the digital age coming in and taking over. Because he said there's two things that they cannot do. He said, number one is that technology, everything, he goes, you can take away the means of distribution from the entire music industry and give it away for free on that. Back then it was still MySpace saka Friendster.
Yeah.
But he said it's going to come back to one person writing a song, and that technology can never replicate that. And he said the second thing is that he said when you talk about the music industry, he goes, it's like what makes music different from television and movies is that music is about dreams, right? You think of something, you communicate an idea, and you reach across to this almost like he had a great expression. He said it's like touching another person's soul.
Yeah. Oh,
He goes,
yeah.
you won't be able to do that on television, and he said you won't be able to do that on movies. And he goes, those are the two things that should be what the music industry is about, and not about distribution, not about all these other things. And he said, if you can focus just on those two things, uh, then everything else will follow.
Mm.
You know that was that movie yesterday? Yung it's the about they wake up one day and everyone's forgotten about the Beatles
Oh,
songs.
yeah,
And
yeah. I never saw that, but yeah, that's a cool concept.
yeah, I mean, so there he's competing with people like Ed Sheeran,
And he's
right?
playing all these Beatles songs.
These Beatles songs, and he realized how powerful a really good song is that comes from the heart.
Yeah.
And the challenge today is that they're rare, and people have to do what they used to do, which is basically go out, look for the artists, find them,
Yeah.
and bring the music forward, hopefully without too much interference from all these other producers and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, a
But
lot of a lot of new artists that I listen to now are they do it themselves. It was there's this band who's popular right now, Black Pumas.
mhm.
Have you heard of them, Black Pumas?
No,
They're it's soul,
okay,
old school soul, not like 70s soul,
yeah,
R and it's just two guys from Austin, and it's the one a white guy and a black guy. Of course, the black guy is the singer, obviously, and then the white guy just found the singer, and they're from Austin, Texas, so he's just a busker. He was just
Oh,
busking. But of course, he was singing like he sings. If you listen to their music, he sings really well. He's a
right.
really good soul singer. So they just got together and they, like you said, it really comes down to the songs because they have good songs.
Yeah.
You can be a great singer, but if the songs are
Yeah.
mediocre, then you don't remember them. So now they're really popular and they came from nothing. So
Hmm.
that's the great thing about here in the States, and I guess I would say, first world countries like the UK and Scandinavia, their music scenes, they are very healthy that you can find artists everywhere and they're not prepackaged. They don't need to be. You can
Yeah.
find real artists that make good music anywhere.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think in the Philippines it's very much lacking. I mean, there hasn't been a really big explosion of multiple bands. I'm talking about the 90s where so many bands, so many record companies were signing everybody. Everybody got signed. It's like,
Yeah.
and then I remember everyone everyone would get signed, and then you came along and you would get us from, you would be like you'd be like a big corporation, buying up the smaller one, and yeah, it was a whole industry. It was such a healthy industry for a while. And of
Yeah.
course, the piracy really, really killed it. I mean, what was it? What was, I don't remember what happened to Sony. I mean,
Oh, okay.
how long did Sony last after? Because when Wolfgang broke up, after when Basti was here in the States, it
Hmm.
wasn't long after I came here already,
Yeah.
and I
So
had just let go of everything.
yeah, what happened is they merged with BMG, and in the merger process, they said, okay, uh, what you have to do is you have to divide the employees equally. So
Oh shit.
in there, a certain Sony was the bigger company in Asia. So you had some of the kings there, like the guy in Taiwan who said, "Okay, I'm going to get the security guards and the cute secretaries, and that's it. 5 people from BMG, and everyone else is fired." So you had such a big deficit left with Sony that had to somehow be compensated.
Yeah.
So my boss came up to me. He flew in and he said, "I'll make you a deal. Uh, I'll keep you. I'll keep Ross. I'll keep maybe one or two more people. Then you have to fire everyone else and use BMG's people."
Oh my god.
And
What year?
so,
What year was this?
oh gosh, I don't remember anymore. Was it early 2000, I guess?
Okay.
So then I said, "I'll tell you what, I'll make you a deal. Uh, I'll walk away and you're going to keep everyone else." And he said, "I can't do that." And I said, "Well, I'll tell you two things. Number one is that if you fire all my key people, we're a paperless office before, eh? It's all computerized.
Right.
BMG is a paper ledger,
Uh huh.
so you'll never reconcile anything."
Yeah.
And the second thing is that parang he said, uh, if you, I'll talk to some of the executives, people like James who medyo wanted to go to another industry na rin.
Okay.
And I'll try to get a number of people to voluntarily leave, but you're going to pay them really well. So we shook on it. And then normally, we had this conference every June, which is the Asian conference.
Mm.
And I tried to delay it all the way to September that year.
Yeah.
So when I went there, they had a really big party for me. And the guy goes, "This is the only executive in the world who gave up his position so everyone else could stay."
Yeah, man. Come on, man. Of course, Wally Chamsay, man. He's the
So,
man.
But they're back, no? So they carried on with
Oh, they're
BMG.
back. Sony Music.
Yeah,
Oh,
they carried on with BMG for a while, and it didn't work out with the local guys in the Hong Kong office. The Hong Kong office actually shut them down. And what I did, I was lucky because my boss then, I told him, I've never asked you for a favor. I'm gonna ask you for one.
okay.
You're gonna save Roslyn. Uh, Tawa-tawa lang siya. Sabi niya, done.
So
Uh,
Roslyn was, gosh, I forgot about her, Mike.
yeah,
Roslyn was where in Sony Music in BMG.
she was inside marketing, right? And they used to treat her
Yeah.
so
Oh,
nice.
really?
And they brought her to Hong Kong,
Uh huh.
and now she heads international for the region, and is now the head of the Philippines for Sony. So they've
Galing.
relaunched in the Philippines.
So
So she's
who are the artists now of Sony in the Philippines?
her biggest right now is Ben and Ben.
Ben and
So
Ben.
yeah, I mean they have like 1 billion streams. They're amazing. I think
Oh,
they're
wow. What are they? Are they a singing duo or something?
it's a group. It's a big ensemble, and they're doing okay. She has a lot of new artists also that they're working on.
Uh-huh.
So I think the challenge today though is that I think for one stream on Spotify you get a fraction of a
A
cent.
fraction of a penny.
Yeah. And you make more money on YouTube, but then that means you have to produce a YouTube video naman.
Yeah.
So, but then, I think at some point they should be able to recover. It's really just the COVID.
Hmm.
But I think if you went out on tours now, that would be a very big scene here
Yeah.
because so many restaurant venues, there's so many malls now that are looking for a way to bring the crowds back.
Yeah. Live music.
Yeah, live music will be the big one. I mean, can you imagine yung San Mig sa Glorieta 3
Mm.
closed? And
San Mig
that
in Glorieta 3.
one on the ground floor that's always punong-puno
Oh, shit.
because there's liquor ban,
Oh, that's right. Oh,
right? And
there's a
that was,
liquor ban during the lockdown?
yeah,
Oh, wow. That's an extra special thing.
yeah.
There's
I
no
mean,
liquor ban here for lockdown. You can still buy.
I don't understand.
Yeah, it's so weird.
You can't drink together, so they stop
Ah,
selling alcohol.
okay.
It's crazy. But imagine, San Mig is the single largest sales point of beer in the whole Glorieta area, and it's
Uh-huh.
closed up years. So
Oh my god. So no, one last story before we go. Um,
sure.
we were on the verge of actually playing here and actually being based here.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, as fate would have it, and the luck of Wolfgang ran out, I guess, because 9/11 happened
Yeah.
and it changed the whole world, of course, and it
Mm-hmm.
changed the course of that plan. So, what
Yeah.
was the plan to begin with? I remember that, like I said, like in your very special Wally way,
Mm-hmm.
with a smile on your face and very calm demeanor, you said, "Oh, I think we have a plan to bring you to the States, and you stay there and you live there in New York, and then you build your thing." And then, I mean, that was the biggest plan I've ever heard from you. And it's like, so what was that like? What happened there?
Everything just fell apart after 9/11.
Yeah.
I remember at that time, I met see Patrick in New York, right? He went there for a while, and I
Who's
said,
Patrick? Who?
Redbird.
Oh, Red
And
Redbird. Okay.
I actually saw him there, and went out. We had dinner. We chat about it, and I said, "Look," because
Oh,
he was
like recently. Okay.
no, this was a part of that, right? And then he
Oh, okay.
was about moving there, and I said, "Hey, if you're gonna go here and we bring the band here, can you do something with them, right? Because I said I can try to talk to the Sony people to try to get them some gigs, and it's not going to be opening for stadiums, but certainly for showcases and things like that.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, he'd be willing to make it work. And that's what I decided to say, okay, maybe we can fly them out there, work something out so that, they at least get a shot at exposure there. The
Yeah.
nice thing, what I wanted to do is putting it through this system. You would have the opportunity to be with all the A&R of the record labels.
Yeah, because it's there. They're all there.
Yeah, and that's usually what they do is they do the showcase for the executives also.
Right.
So since naman, I had a good relationship with all the executives, I don't think they would mind if I tell them, oh, sige na, tignan mo na yung artist ko and things like that. So I think
Yeah.
that was all there, right? And they were like, okay, we'll do this for you.
My God.
But like I say, things happen and you just move forward, right?
Yeah. And what could well, it's like, what could you say, right? It's
Yeah.
like, guys, no more plan because 9/11.
You know, when
9/11.
I saw that plane, it was just in the office, and then they said, hey, turn on CNN, look what's happening.
Yeah.
And I remember at that evening, Good Charlotte was supposed to fly into the Philippines. And that
Oh. Oh, that's
unknown,
right.
yeah, they were an unknown entity then. And I
Yeah.
remember the manager goes, we can't get on the plane. Do you know what's going on?
My gosh. Yeah, I remember going to between Escalante's house
Mm-hmm.
because I was delivering a demo because she sang on Black Mantra. You remember
Yeah,
that? She
yeah.
sang backup vocals. So I gave her a copy of a demo of what she was going to sing,
Mm-hmm.
so she could practice. And she goes, Wolf, come inside. You got to see this. So I'm like, what's happening? Everything okay? I go, yeah, just come inside. So her whole family in the whole house, all the maid, everything, the help, they're all watching CNN.
Yeah,
And I go, oh, what's that? What movie is that? What movie is that? It looked like a movie. It's like,
yeah,
what movie are you watching? It's like, no, dude, that's in New York right now. That's in the World Trade Center. I'm like, what? So we're just watching there, and I'm like, and my parents were here in the States.
mm,
They were here
yeah,
at the time. So I go, I gotta go home because my parents are in the States right now, and I don't think they don't know this is happening yet. So I went home, and then my sister was already watching the thing. And then by the time I get home, the second building gets hit. I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck is going on? And it's like, and then she called my mom. It's like, and then it was 9 a.m. in New York, so it was 6 a.m. here. So
right.
my parents were still asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Called my mom. It's like, when you get a call in a weird hour, you get nervous, right?
Yeah,
So my mom's like, oh, what's happening? What's happening? It's like, are you watching CNN? It's like, why? What's it? Just put it on CNN. And then they hung up, and of course, that's what happened. And then we still had to record. We still had to record Black Mantra during that time.
I
We were
know,
still, we were still recording that album.
right?
Oh my gosh, that was. And then and yeah, so do you and you even tried? You tried, right, to get us visas even after 9/11?
Yeah, and
You
they
did
just
you try to force the plan?
yeah,
Yeah,
but then they just locked everything
they
down.
locked everything down. Yeah, because I remember Mon was the one who needed a visa. Everyone else had a visa except him. So,
Yeah,
oh well. I look back at that time. It's like, oh well, it's not meant to be, right?
good
And it's
times.
not. Yeah,
Eh,
sometimes you don't get what you want,
yeah,
and of course, I mean, compared to what people who were killed at that time, and the war that happened after that. All that shit that happened after that. I mean, in the whole world changed. And
Yeah.
but so that, yeah, I just want to thank you again, Wally, man. I
Oh,
mean,
anytime.
you, I am me because of what you did, man.
Yeah.
And all the other members of Wolfgang, we are who we are, you know, because of you, and your team and all of those people who worked with you, who worked till 5 in the morning to come up with these great ideas. And it hasn't been replicated, it hasn't been duplicated. I don't think it ever will, because then people say, oh well, that Wolfgang did that already. There's a
Yeah.
precedent. So I just want to, thank you, and great job. It's a great legacy for both of us, and I'll never forget it. So thanks a lot.
Here. My pleasure.
All right. So I'll see you soon, and give my love to Dennis, and you and your wife get well soon, please.
Thank you. Okay. No worries.
All
Take
right,
care now.
Wally. Take care. See ya.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.